Welcome everyone back to another live Q&A. I'm here with my guest and co-host, Alicia. How are you, Alicia?
I am well. It feels like summer today. It's June and the sun is shining and the lilacs are blooming, so it's a good day out there.
Absolutely. I know I am planning on going to enjoy the day here as soon as we're done. I'm going to slip out as fast as I can. And yeah, it is awesome. Now, I can't help myself here, Alicia. I have to show the guests one thing here. So I wasn't going to, and I didn't get a chance to show you guys because Teams won't let me put it on the screen. But while we're waiting for people to connect in, I'm going to go old school, which is Mark sharing information about what he's doing. So I'm going to flip back here and I'm going to pull something on the screen here, which is this guy. And so I caught that guy just the other day, and he's about 38 inches long, and you can see I am filthy because he was having some reservation about leaving the water. But as soon as I got him out, he spit the hook out of his mouth, and I was able to return him back to the nice water where he was situated. So yeah,
A
so there
pike?
you go. So
Is it a pike, Mark?
it's a pike. Yeah, it was a
Yeah.
pike, and I didn't weigh him, but oh, so much fun. So that's what Mark loves to do. Um, yes, that's what I love to do. All right. Well, let's see who we've got here. I'm just going to pull this one back. Let's give a few shout outs to people that are tuning in. So, Satyaki, good afternoon to you. Omar's tuning in from Somalia. Hi, Omar. And we'll just adjust this just a little bit here. And Emmanuel, good to see you. Thank you for joining us. We wouldn't be able to do this. He says, thanks for all that you do. And we wouldn't be able to do this if it wasn't for you guys asking great questions. Happy Thursday to you, Mariana. Great to see you tuning in from Toronto. And Nitin, hey Nitin, it's good to see you. It's great. I love it when clients connect in and say hello. It's great to have you tuning in, Nitin. And then we've got Cheryl, who's over on Facebook, watching on the Canadian Immigration Institute Facebook page, and Katamba as well. Hello to you over tuning in on Facebook. I'm glad to see, and we've also have Cheryl saying, great job. I'm hoping she said that about that fish I caught. And that was the biggest pike I've ever caught in my life. I'll be honest. He was a monster. I actually had my GoPro and I've got a shoulder mount, and I was
Yeah.
able to record the whole thing in like 4K quality video. So pretty soon I'm going to launch a new YouTube channel called Out of Office, and I'm building up a whole bunch of videos. So I won't bore you guys. You guys don't care what I'm doing in my spare time. But anyways, sometimes I can't help but share. Okay. John says, I hope you can help me and everyone today. I hope we can offer you some advice. And otherwise, there would be no point to doing what we're doing here. Desura says, hello, Mark and Alicia. It's election day in Ontario today. Yes, it is. You guys make sure that you get out and vote. Those that have the ability to do it, make sure that you absolutely take advantage of that. And that's one exact reason why I think pursuing Canadian citizenship is worthwhile. I don't know how you feel
Yeah.
about that, Alicia.
Absolutely. Vote, vote, vote. Make sure to vote.
All right, we've got Sakina is over in BC. That's great. And we've got Katamba, who is over in Uganda. So that's really cool. Okay, I think we've got, oh, there's a lot of people that are jumping in here. And Jose's up in Fort McMurray. The sir saying, nice catch. Alva, good to see you connecting in from Lima, Peru, a frequent follower. Everything is going well. And let's see here. We've got MLC says, hello, Mark and Alicia. And those of you who have questions, hold off on your questions for just a little bit. We've got a few little housekeeping matters to take care of, in addition to me showing you the fish that I caught. And then we'll jump in and we will, we'll get to all of your questions here. Today's live stream is going to end a little bit early because both Alicia and I have some other obligations. So we're going to try to wrap it up at 12:45. We also are thankful that you're able to accommodate us as we shifted the time, because I had another important Canadian Bar Association meeting that went right at 11. So Alicia was able to switch over. So that's great that you guys are working with us. And it's good to see a whole bunch of people have shifted over and recognize that, yes, we are starting at noon. All right. Good to see you, Amy, as always. And he said, nice to see another new member, LOL. Well, I guess if you can count the Pike, right, as another part of our team. Biome's over in Regina, Saskatchewan. Great to have you. Nisha, hello to you. HP's over in St. John's, Newfoundland. That is awesome. We got people scattered all over. So those of you who've got questions, hang tight. And George, good to see you. Good afternoon, he says, for you both. Udara, hello. And Raj says, please answer my question. Well, Raj, you post that question again, and you can actually, once I give you the green light, make sure you put a Q in front of it, and then we'll try to hit it. Now, I do know that because we're broadcasting as an audio on the Canadian Immigration Podcast, we are also broadcasting on LinkedIn and Facebook and YouTube. So sometimes those comments don't always land on my feed. So bear with me, and we'll do the very, very best that we can. Okay, and then we'll do this, and we'll put some applause here because Jude Martin, and Jude knows the battle that we went through to get this result for him. And things did not work out in the US for him at all, but now Canada is saying, we want you, Jude. So really, really excited. Jude says, hello, Mark. Glad to see you again. Grateful to have met you for my permanent resident application. Thank you again for the help. He has a permanent resident visa in his hand with a COPR, and Jude's getting ready to make plans to travel. So I look forward to connecting with you next week, Jude, to talk about some of those logistics. So very, very cool. Okay. Oh, I love this. Look at this one, Alicia. This is from Chinook's victim. Hello from Punjab. Good to see you. I like that. That is actually really, really funny. Well, not funny if you were the victim of Chinook. And if it is the Chinook processing that immigration used in India, well, if all those little things come together, our heart goes out to you, and welcome. Okay, and then we've got Anastasia. Good morning, Anastasia. Good to see you. Okay. Yeah, we've got people from all over Vancouver, and Irfan from Gujarat. This is great. Okay, here's a good one. Sakina says, I'm an MBA student in Trinity Western University in BC, planning to sponsor my common law partner. Well, that's awesome. That's fantastic, Sakina. And remember, I have the course, and anything that you need, any assistance or whatever, we're always available here to help. Okay, we've got a bunch. We're going to close off the shout outs, but thanks everybody for tuning in. We'll just pop up a few here. Okay. Okay. So this is interesting here. Okay. I'll bring it up. And usually I don't like to do things too much contentious, but Karthik says, don't skip questions. We are not fools here sitting and watching simply. So Karthik, remember how much you're paying to get your questions answered. And, we do the best that we can to answer them, but this is something that we're doing out of the goodness of our heart. So I bring up the question because I know I probably don't need to say much more. The other people that are attending will probably respond to your comment themselves. So we'll just leave it at that. Okay, let's cover a few little housekeeping matters. So first off, if we slide over here, I want to let you guys know that if you come here to our website, you can always click on the top right up here, speaking to a lawyer. And if you watch my live Q&A, you'll see when you click on speak to a lawyer here that we have Alicia here. You can book a consult with her, Chanel, and we have the unveiling of Cedric Marin, who is our newest lawyer that's joined our firm based out of Ottawa. And Cedric joined me. If you didn't have a chance to watch the Q&A yesterday, Cedric introduced himself a little bit. So he's the newest lawyer within our firm. And you can always go right back to our team. And when you click on our team, the backgrounds of all of us lawyers here within the firm are here, as well as Cedric right here. And you can read about him and his bio. And Cedric's really pushing the French thing as well. So you can communicate with him directly in either, although both Alicia and Chanel speak French as well. Cedric's really going to focus on that and expanding that part of our practice. So we're happy to have Cedric as a part of our team. On the Canadian Immigration Institute front, our Express Entry course is now live. So you can go in right now and you can click on Learn More and Buy Now and get right into the course. And then June 27th to the 30th, so it gives you time to go through all those videos on demand. save up all your questions. Then each night from 4 to 5 for 1 hour, I will join you in a live Q&A that's just for the people that subscribe to this particular cohort to get all your questions answered. So great. So you can click on there and all of the details, everything associated with it, including CCIC CPD accreditation is available for immigration consultants. So check that out. And then a full breakdown at the bottom of this page of everything that's covered in the course, the over 642 minutes, well, in this case, it'll be 4 hours live. And that's actually a good lead in. So Alicia, why would we not have a masterclass on the day after June 30th, which is
It's
July
Canada
1st?
Day.
It's
It's
Canada
Canada
Day.
Day.
We're not doing any master classes on Canada Day. We're going to be out having a good time with our family and watching the fireworks in the evening. Oh, it's going to be awesome. Awesome, awesome. Okay. Housekeeping is done. Now let's start diving into the questions. So you can start posting your questions now, and then we will go from there. All right. Okay. First question. Let's see who our winner is. It's Monique. So Monique says, I submitted an application to extend my stay as a visitor in Canada with my family. IRCC withdraws my application. Okay, I'm not sure exactly what the question is here, Monique, but that's weird. You know, there was that mess that occurred in India, I know for sure, where people had submitted applications a long, long time ago. Well, I should say at the beginning of the pandemic, right? Maybe that could be what Monique is talking about here.
Yeah, and then basically some of those applications there was a huge backlog. It got jammed. Immigration said, we're not even looking at them anymore. Resubmit a new application if you had submitted between a certain period from certain countries.
Next question is from Yashasvini. Hey, not bad. Okay. I'm on a work permit and want to invite my single mom to Canada on a visitor visa. My brother is a minor, 17 years old. Can I add him in my mom's profile, or should he wait and come as an international student?
Well, I guess, yeah. There's a few factors here in terms of, what's he going to be eligible for? Is there a possibility to come on a more long-term basis? Because of course, those visa processing times, the practical reality is the TRV processing times through India are huge, right? You can go and check what they currently are, but it's going to be a long time. And one of the things to think about is if your brother is currently a minor and qualifies as a minor, is there some other application that your parents could be making to come to Canada in the meantime? But these are discussion questions that we would need to get more information from you to be able to provide advice. But really, in terms of information, really long processing times right now. The more people you are trying to bring, the more you have to prove that you are able to provide an invitation letter and they have some way to financially support themselves while they're here, and they have temporary intent, meaning they have ties back and they will go back at the end of their authorized stay.
All right, this question is from Zainib. And Zainib, I think you were the one right when I was shutting down my live Q&A yesterday. You put in a super chat. So I think this is a carryover from yesterday. So let me tackle this one, Alicia. So Zainib says, one of my ex-companies changed its address after I left. So some of the letters are on the old letterhead while other reference letters are on the new letterhead. Should I mention in an LOE, I'm pre-ITA? And that's what was mentioned before. So in the course of, before you get an invitation to apply, you've got lots of flexibility. One thing that I will often see is if it's possible to get the letter updated. So if there's a way for you to go back and get that updated, and if the company's willing to do that, then I recommend you do that. If for people that are not in your situation and have already submitted an EAPR, then I will often just send a web form or something to update immigration to let them know that there's been some change and that the letter they have or the contact information that they have may have changed. And it does happen, especially when applications are in process for a long time. But in your situation, pre-ITA, if you can get it, then I would do that. If not, then sometimes I'll just do the best that I can. Usually you can get some confirmation that the company has changed locations. Maybe there's a press release or something like that that just confirms it's in a different location. And when it comes to changes in supervisors and things like that, it's really good to update immigration with the contact information of the new person. Once again, if you can get that letter, that sure helps. I don't know if you have anything else to add to that one, Alicia.
Yeah, the other thing is, if you can't change that original letterhead, that's fine because there would have been a change date corporately. And so if on the new letterhead, whoever's writing that letter can confirm for you, we changed our corporate address and our letterhead as of X date, then it just makes everything clear to the immigration officer. If you can't get it on the company letter, then yes, you can put it in your LOE.
Yeah. All right. Okay, next one, Lucas, and I think lots of people are asking this, Alicia. Will FSW actually come back on July? If so, should we expect higher draw scores?
Well, every indication from immigration is yes, it will come back in July. And yes, you should definitely expect higher draw scores as far as we can tell based on the numbers. So Mark is here pulling up the current pool of applicants into the express entry, and you can look at the CRS distribution. And so anybody who's above 600 basically probably has a PNP, pardon me, PNP nomination. There's only 635 people there, but there are a large number of people between the 501 to 600 range. And I know there was some speculation that immigration had released a few little memoranda saying that they are going to continue to do draws at historically the levels they were doing them. And so we're probably looking at, 3 to maybe 4,500, maybe 5,000 in a draw. And we're going to look back at the previous historical rounds to see how many people were getting those invitations in prior years when they were still issuing invitations on a regular basis.
And you can see when it
So
comes to the no program specified draws, the highest it ever was 5,000.
that's right. Yeah. So if we have over 7,000 people sitting in the pool right now who have more than 501 points on their CRS, then it's probably going to take at least one or two draws at least before that number is going to come down anywhere below the 500 range.
Yeah. And that's, one thing that we teach in the course is, kind of expected CRS scores and what a typical person would be. Well, for years and years, Alicia, if you had a master's degree and you were 29 years old and had at least a CLB 9 and, your 3 years of skilled work experience, well, you were in pretty good shape, 469 points. That was often enough.
Yeah.
And now we see with 7,193 people being in this range. And remember, this is no PNP nominations here, you guys. This is under the nomination. Up here, the 600 plus range includes PNPs. And yes, some non-PNPs can still hit over 600 points, like our executives and CEOs with job offers who get those big bonus 200 points. But generally speaking, right here, you can see these are individuals that have astronomically high human capital, but also they have all those other areas where they're getting those bonus points. French. So,
Yeah. Canadian work experience, usually, maybe a sibling in Canada.
yep, exactly. So, yes, we believe so, right, Alicia? Unless, yeah, I think we have to trust the minister. Okay. And here's the other elephant in the room. Tanuj says, still waiting for the post-grad work permit extension. Do you know any expected date? When will the process start? And this is the irony, because when the minister made the announcement, he said in the coming weeks, which
Yeah.
is unbelievably vague, but also as vague as you can get it while still being slightly specific. So it's only marginally better than sometime in the future. So the coming
Well,
weeks, well, maybe it's 52 weeks. I don't know.
the news release did say in the summer of
Yeah.
2022. And
Yeah.
so we're hoping that, technically the summer starts June 21st. So we're hoping that the summer is going to be very soon and that the immigration minister will release the program details because it's very important. I've had a number of consults with people who their post-grad work permit is expiring and they are trying to figure out what to do. And one thing that is still uncertain is, will this apply to people who already did one of the extensions in the past? So some people were on PGWP status and they benefited from the prior 18-month open work permit. We're not sure if those people are going to be eligible for this new program, or if you have to be on your initial post-grad work permit.
One other little piece that we'll toss out for all of you who are in this situation: we know your postgrad work permits are expiring. Whatever you do, don't fall out of status. So deal with it. Make sure that you, at the very least, have transitioned to a visitor status, but don't just not do something. And if you're unsure what to do, we've got a great blog post that Alicia prepared a while back. And if you go here to blogs under our resource section on our website, and then you scroll down here, you'll see that Alicia, I think it was in December of last year, wasn't it, Alicia? How long can I stay in Canada after my work permit expires? Alicia went into great length describing the options and things that people had available to them, and just understanding your legal obligations, and what you really needed to understand when you're navigating through this difficult situation. So yeah.
And Mark, that brings up a good point. So if you are doing a change of conditions, if you're changing from that postgrad work permit, which is an open work permit, and you're changing status to be on a visitor status within Canada, there is a form that you have to fill out. And guess what? Immigration just updated the versions of their form. So if you are working on this and you've been kind of procrastinating and not submitting it through your MyCIC portal, watch out, because as of yesterday, a bunch of the forms were updated. So the change of conditions from a work permit to a visitor visa is one of those forms. Same thing, change of conditions on a study permit, inside and outside Canada application forms. The IMM8 has been updated, and some of the spousal forms. So just watch out, go check the version date on the form that you download. It's all free, you get it directly from immigration's website. And on the bottom of each page, so the problem is you can't tell very easily when you just pull the drop down list. You need to actually open up that Adobe form and take a look at the bottom, the footer on each page. It'll tell you the version date in parenthesis. You want to make sure those are the updated version dates, which is actually a May 2022 version date.
I was going to try to be creative here and pull one up, but I think I've got too many windows I have to go through to try and display that form. Okay. Sandeep asks, and this is also somewhat of a point of some confusion: do you recommend the new portal for visitor visa applications or the standard GCK option?
It depends. The answer is it depends if you're in Canada or if you're outside Canada, and if you're doing an extension application or if this is the first application you've ever done. And there will be growing pains as you work through having to file these new applications online. There's kind of benefits of both of them. The MyCIC is a known entity and you can do the questionnaire. The new portal has a little bit more in terms of the supporting documents, right? You're not limited, you get to upload everything. And you also get a very comprehensive breakdown of everything in that application when you do your GCMS notes on them.
All right. Next question is from Madera. And he says, what do you guys think of getting a notification of interest from the OINP tech draws for a CRS 465 this year? Well, I've given us a little bit of help here, Alicia. This is what we've got so far this year for Ontario. And we can see the tech draws. The range for the last one was 463 to 467. At least the February 8th tech draw, that's where it was, at least in that range. What are your thoughts on that, Alicia?
Yeah, I mean, a 465, it's in the middle of the range of what they invited a few months ago. So I guess it depends on who else has increased their CRS scores in the last 4 months. So hopefully you've got a good shot. You're in the zone, but you'll see sometimes that zone moves on you.
Yeah, it's really hard to predict. Okay, Raj says, my COVID vaccine is not approved in Canada, and I am planning to land next month as a COPR holder. Will it create any problems at Canada Airport? Do I need to quarantine?
Yeah, it will. So make sure to go to the page that talks about how you are going to travel and arrive in Canada. So you need the Arrive Can app and you need to go through. And yes, that's great if you have your COPR, but if you don't have an approved vaccine, then you will need to quarantine and comply with those travel restriction measures. There was some talk I saw in the news yesterday about those travel restriction measures and whether they were going to stay implemented. And so far, the government is saying up until June 30th, for sure, those same travel restriction measures will be in place. We don't know after that, but for sure it'll be in place up until then. So go make sure that you go through every single step. You're going to have to do your pre-arrival COVID test. You're going to have to make sure that you show the proof of the vaccines you have, but you're going to have to quarantine if you don't have an approved vaccine.
Yeah. And as always, Raj, and I know this is really a question that you've been waiting for us to answer, and I think it's just probably skipped through in past Q&As. But always remember, if you have questions like this, go to our site and book a consult, and we can walk you through all of the logistics of this. You've got lots of options for lawyers, immigration lawyers, to help you. And so when you're dealing with things that are really this critical, when you're physically traveling, when there's these many things going on, it's really, really important that we, before we can give you proper advice, get all the facts and understand the whole situation. And for you, in the context of a YouTube channel, I don't know if you want to rest all of your decision making just on a short 30-second response. So we can walk you through the whole process, and I encourage you to slide over and book a consult. So, okay, here's a fun one. I'm glad it's your day for answering these ones, Alicia. Okay, so HP says, how long will the processing for TR to PR work permits take? Do I need to wait till 2023 to the end of it to get my PR from TR to PR? I applied on July 15th, 2021, but nothing yet.
Oh dear. So yeah, there was a public policy that allowed TR to PR applicants, as long as you could prove that you had your email back from the program that your application had been properly submitted for the TR to PR pathway, that you could apply for that open work permit. Now, this is a long time, right? If you submitted back in July of last year and we're at June of 2022, I would want to make sure that everything was submitted properly and that application is properly in process, because that's a very long application time. So that would worry me a little bit.
Okay, let's go back to our express entry discussion. So Yasser says, when will a CRS score of 475 expect to get an ITA? So what do you think, Alicia, based on, and remember, these are over a week old now, so guaranteed there's been individuals that have kind of flooded in here. You can see 635, 601 to 1200, 635 were in the pool as of May 24th. And if you scroll up here, you'll see that 589 were issued invitations. And some people will say, well, that doesn't make sense. There's 600. Well, obviously it's because not everybody who has that high of a CRS score is a PNP nominee. So some of these are still in here, but even, a week later, it's probably built up a little bit. But what do you think, Alicia? What do you think in that situation?
I don't know if it'll come down to that by the end of this year. Like, there's almost 53,000 people between 451 and 500. And of course, it's really hard to tell. They don't give a subset of those breakdown scores. So we don't know, how many people are going to be, we've got 471 to 480. And so we've got 16,000 between that range, within a very small little range of numbers there. So if you look at the number of people ahead of you, plus the fact that more people are going to pile in as soon as the program opens and ITAs start happening again, it's really hard to say if that 475 is going to get an ITA within 2022.
And one thing I want to reiterate to everyone repeatedly, like, there is so much information out there on express entry now. Like, there's a lot. Lots of people have done, have got whole YouTube channels and Facebook groups and WhatsApp groups, and a number of people have created their own websites, all geared towards express entry. But the consequences of getting your express entry application returned for incompleteness is astronomically what's the best way to describe it? Like the consequences are astronomically more severe than they ever have been in the process. Because if you're lucky to get an invitation to apply, there is no guarantee that you are going to get another one. And time again, especially Alicia, when we were doing probably 60% of our practice was express entry. I would say at least half of the consultations I did, express entry related, were people that had done it wrong and got their applications rejected. Or there was some problem that they realized after they'd submitted it, but immigration hadn't yet refused their application. And so there are things that you can do to prepare, to be ready. There are things that you can do to make sure that you're not missing things. And there's very little excuse these days with the information that's out there to miss things. But notwithstanding that, even when someone understands the process, they've read everything the government has on the website, there are still gaps in explanations, gaps in how your specific situation fits into the parameters that immigration has given you. And sometimes you can't give immigration what they're asking for in a perfect form because of unique circumstances. So that's why we created the course. That's why we do our collaborative review model, which, my goodness, Alicia, I think we need to pick a new name for it, because it's not just a review. Like, this is a collaborative process where we work in depth with our clients through, Zoom or Teams screen shares, and we go through everything together. And just this morning, as I was going through and reviewing an individual's background declaration form, they were requested to update their file. They received an ADR. I was going through, and they had not gone back and looked at what they'd put in the original application. And I showed them how to do that. And I could see that their dates were all off by about a month. So, and then that wasn't even the biggest thing. The biggest thing was the statutory information section. So on the Schedule A, there's a statutory declaration section. And they answered no to everything. No, all the way down the Schedule A. And we went back and looked in what their statutory information said, and lo and behold, they had a US visa refusal. So these things can catch people unaware, and it happens all the time. But it's not just a simple matter of getting your application returned, going back in the pool and getting another ITA. At the absolute least consequence, maybe you don't even get another ITA again. Worst, maybe you're found to have misrepresented. And so as immigration lawyers, we see this all the time. And so I thought I'd just bring that up. And remember, the course is open. So if you guys are looking for instruction and guidance and direction and everything that you could need to do to file your own application, that's available. And Alicia and I and, Cedric and Chanel are all, we love doing this stuff. So reach out, book a consult, and we're happy to help you as well. Okay. All right, here's another speculative question. Seems like we have a few of these. This is from Jansher, and he says, when will the new knock-based system come into effect? Schick article. Schick. I'm not sure what Schick is. Do you know what that is? Schick article says it will be enacted in June. So I can personally say that there's zero chance of the new knock-based system being enacted this month. In fact, they told us, and repeatedly every meeting that I've been in, that it's going to be later in the year, the end of the year at earliest. But everything's a gong show right now. I can't even see it fully rolling out then if they can't even tell us what the parameters are for the post-grad, 18-month work permit and the family sponsorship of Ukraine, all these things.
So there was a memorandum about the tier system, and there are some details about new categories of people who are going to fit, and a couple categories, 3 categories of people who are now going to not be eligible because of the rejigging of the knock into the tier system. So that information is available out there, but everything does say, up until September 2022 based on those memoranda. So that's the information that we have.
All right, let's dive into another question here. Let's see if we can find it. We've got a bunch. Okay. All right, here we go. Okay, this one's from George. And George says, concerning the Kuwait program, what is the duration of travel to Canada if the visa is accepted and issued? So how long is it open?
Yeah, so this is something that is often confusing to people. There's a difference between the visa, like a counterfoil. So right now under the CUAET program, depending on which country you're applying from, some people are able to get a counterfoil less application approved, meaning they don't have to get that physical visa imprinted in their passport, but they're still able to come to Canada. The visa is generally your ability to travel and enter physically into Canada's borders. But the CUAET work permit that you're issued once you get here, or the visitor's visa or the study permit, depending on the case, is eligible for 3 years on that initial application. So the visa is your ability to come here, and depending on whether you did the counterfoil less one or the one that does require the counterfoil, it gives you different durations for the time within you which you have to use it. So be careful. If you do the counterfoil less, you actually have less time to travel to Canada. If you do the regular counterfoil, it gives you much longer to actually get to Canada. Once you get to Canada, the work permit or the study permit or the visitor document you get is valid for 3 years.
And one other interesting thing, Jose, I'm just going to open this up here, and I'm probably going to do a separate video on this. But I think it's a good time to I'm going to flip my screen around, just let people know about this. So we finally have details on the Ukraine Immigration Measures financial assistance programs. And I want to strongly encourage you to pay close attention to the parameters of this program. And when you're completing it, there's a bunch of uncertainty as to the nature of this money. Is this money just out of the government's pocket, or is it money that you need to pay back? It's a one-time assistance, non-taxable benefit. But the key here is in the case of when you receive this financial assistance, the expectation for you to actually pay this money back. And I haven't had a chance to look at this, Alicia, yet, but I do know that when people are submitting their application, there is a very clear indication that this money is a loan and not a grant. But what are your thoughts on this, Alicia? Because everybody's thinking, sweet, I'll buy an iPad and I'll buy some other stuff with this money, and it's just free money from the Canadian government. What are your thoughts on this? Do you have any insight on this?
I don't have insight into
Okay.
this. I'd have to go through and see if
Okay.
they do specify whether it's a loan or whether it's a grant.
Okay. And so pay close attention. This just if we scroll down to the bottom, you'll see here today is June the 2nd and this is June the 2nd. So stay tuned. I'm gonna have it probably tonight. I'll release a video on this for those, and we'll also put it inside our. I go back here, scroll back one more here. I will go back and I will include it in our QET video course. So those of you who haven't submitted, I can't imagine anyone who hasn't submitted an application already. You can access the free course here, and I will. There's a group associated with this. I'll make sure that I post it in there as well. But those details are there now, so you can go in and you can start making or requesting access to this financial assistance to help you get settled. And some people may ask, Alicia, well, why is the government of Canada doing this? Why are they giving money to people? Well, we do that with our refugees. So when individuals come over, even when they're government sponsored, they are given little microloans to help them get on their feet and get established in Canada. And it's interesting, Alicia, I know that the repayment, the last figures, the last statistics I had heard was that the repayment rates on these loans were over 90%. Like I think it was 92, 93%. And so the government has no problems giving loans to, individuals who come over in whatever dire situation to help them get on their feet and get settled.
I would add too, though, just be really careful. The CUAET is not a refugee claim,
Yep.
right? So it's really important to know that this is not a permanent residence application. It is a temporary residence application. It's different than regular temporary residence applications because you are able to get a study permit or a work permit when you wouldn't normally be able to get a study or a work permit.
Yep. All right. We'll flip back here. Next question. This one comes from Jose. He says, hi, after submitting a family class sponsorship for my family abroad, should I submit a web form for them to expedite my application? I heard that they are prioritizing family class. Thanks. So, Alicia, how effective do you think a web form would be for someone who pleads with immigration? Even they lay out the most, just dire circumstances that they're suffering and been apart for 10 years. How effective do you think a web form is going to be in getting immigration to expedite an application?
So, okay, under Section 3 of the Act, immigration has various objectives with the Immigration and Refugee Protection Act. And one of the objectives of having this legislation and having our whole immigration scheme at all is family reunification. And the government knows that. And they do prioritize family class applications, specifically because they know that family class applications, outside Canada applications, are normally in circumstances where the spouses are separated, right? Somebody's in the foreign country and the other spouse, the Canadian spouse, is usually in Canada. And so they try to expedite them. But if you do go and take a look, I think last time I checked, the outside Canada family class sponsorship time was about 20 months. And that is a long time to wait if you are separated from your spouse, especially if you're separated from your kids also. So it is very hard right now for people, and there is a backlog. The government knows it. They're trying to work on it, but it's a long time coming, and probably those web forms are not going to move it along in terms of speeding up processing. But of course, if you do have a material change in circumstance, you have an obligation to update immigration with that new information.
All right. Okay, I'm just trying to find one last question here that would cover as many people as possible, and we'll wrap it up and we'll finish with this last question. Let's just see here. Okay, I'm gonna take one. We haven't talked a lot about refusals, but I'm gonna take this one from TNT Mom. So it says, "Good day, Mark and Alicia. My spouse was refused a study permit for a college in Ontario for Section 216(1). Okay. The plan is to reapply, but for a college in Nova Scotia. Is there a red flag if he does this?"
So I'd
We
say
get
ding the
these all
bell.
the time. So
Ding the bell, Mark, ding the bell.
I think, let me see. Ding the bell. Let me see. I don't think I have a bell. Just joking. I'm just joking.
So, for sure, we would want to talk to you about what happened. Why was there a refusal? What sort of initial evidence was submitted? What kind of college was your spouse initially trying to go to? What was the program of studies? What was the length of studies? How does that fit in with their study plan? And so, if you're changing colleges and if you're changing programs or maybe the duration of the program, then why and how? And if the initial reasons for the refusal are not addressed, then it's quite likely, yeah, so it's quite likely there's going to be another refusal. So, more information would be required. It's really difficult if you've got multiple refusals to try to overcome whatever's going on in the officer's mind. It also does depend upon what temporary ties your spouse has proven to their home country.
Right there. All right. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. We're going to wrap this one up a little bit early. We will be back next Wednesday. I'll be back at 10 a.m. Mountain Time. We'll be back next week with Alicia at 11 a.m., the regular time. Chanel and Cedric are both going to be joining us periodically here as we go forward, and we're looking at expanding our offering so that we have more days available for Q&As for all of you. Now, why do we do this? Well, we do it so that you will believe that we are capable and have something to offer and assist you in your process. We do it as a way to give back, to help people avoid the challenges and problems that we see people facing every single day. And the reality is, more often than not, you simply don't know what you don't know. And when it comes to refusals, the last time to then know what you don't know, or the worst time, I should say, is when you get your application returned, refused, or those dreaded 5-year misrep bars because you answered a question improperly or failed to include something you should have. So that's why we're here, Canadian immigration lawyers at Healthy Immigration Law. There's links to book consults. Remember that the Express Entry step-by-step course is now live. You can go there and you can subscribe. I'll slide over one last time as we wrap up to the Canadian Immigration Institute page. And there's a link in the description here. All you have to do is click on once you're here on the main page, explore courses, and then Express Entry is right here, learn more and buy now. And then you can just click on this link to buy now. So I'd love to see you get in there as soon as possible. And it's so much better when you purchase early so that we're ready for July. But not only that, if you purchase it now, then you have access to all the resources. You can take your time over the next few weeks until we jump on right before the draws start again, June 27th through the 30th for those live 1-hour calls. All right.
And one very last thing, Mark,
Yes.
to add to our listener who was saying, is a 475 going to be enough? The thing that's a moving target right now is the fact that they might roll out these select draws, right? And so even if you have a 475 and they start targeting specific occupations or specific types of backgrounds, you might as well put in a profile. You have nothing to lose if you think you have a job or a background or a profile that's going to be in demand in Canada.
That's a very, very good point, Alicia. Very, very good point. All right. Okay. Well, everybody, thank you for tuning in. It was great having you a part of this, whether you were listening as an audio on the Canadian Immigration Podcast or LinkedIn or Facebook or YouTube right here. We're great to have you. We're grateful to have you. And next week, I think Igor's talked me into running mine at least through Instagram. So stay tuned. If you go to the Healthy Law Instagram page, you can watch it there too. Although why would you if you've got this beautiful YouTube to watch? Igor's got a different philosophy than me. All right, guys, take care and we will see you again soon.